In today's video, we have breaking news. The FBI just made a major announcement in the Oval Office today. Secondly, Latin King's gang member has been indicted for placing a bounty on ICE. And finally, the government shutdown. Where are we exactly with all of this? Well, in all these stories, I'm going to show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
Since the start of the administration, the FBI has arrested over 23,000 violent criminals, more than double the number arrested in the final year of the Biden disaster. The FBI has also destroyed or severely disrupted more than 170 organized criminal enterprises and gangs, 1,600 of the most violent gangs, and confiscated over 6,000 illegal firearms. And they've tracked down and arrested 4 fugitives on the most wanted list, 4 of the most wanted. Actually, 2 of them were the most wanted fugitives in the world. There's still much more work to be done, which is why the FBI continues to work alongside the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Department of War to defend. And Pete Hegseth has been fantastic, by the way, on this too, on other things, but on this too. To defend law and order and combat violent crime, arrest illegal aliens, and make American cities the safest in the world.
Okay, so we had a lot of announcements today because there's so much news this week, but this, I would say, is at the top of the list. And we're talking about results. And you know this show is all about results, so we're going to talk about it. And here are what they look like. Yeah, so on the subject of getting results and showing the American people that the president is making America safe, this announcement is huge. I mean, there's a lot of news this week, but I would put this at the top of the list, and it's the results from the FBI. Let's read it together. 8,700 arrests of violent criminals, 2,200 firearms seized, 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized, and 2,100 indictments. Now, those numbers are numbers you would expect over a 4-year period of a good presidency that is focused on crime. They've been able to do this in a span of 7 months. So this is nothing short of historic. Again, will the president get credit for it? Probably not. But me and you know the truth, and I think that's what ultimately matters. All right, let's go to what the FBI director had to say, Kash Patel, in this next clip.
I hope the media takes a look at every one of these charts because these are the best numbers for fighting crime in U.S. history, and it's only 7 months in. And to do that, our vehicle to do it of choice was Operation Summer Heat, which the FBI architected to go after violent criminals. And in just a 3-month span, you had 8,700 arrests of violent criminals. You had 2,200 firearms seized off the streets permanently to safeguard our communities. You had 421 kilograms of fentanyl seized. Just to put that in perspective, that's enough to kill 55 million Americans alone. You had 45,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, and thanks to our Department of Justice partners, you had 2,100 indictments in 3 months, from June to September alone. Mr. President, that in and of itself would be historic for a 4-year presidency. You did that in 7 months because you let good cops be cops, and you partnered us with the right people, the Department of Justice, to put the handcuffs on and bring them to court and put them in prison. And
that is 100% factual, because we know the prior administration was involved in politicization, weaponization, and woke ideology. They were not concerned with going after the FBI 10 most wanted fugitives because they didn't capture any during that 4-year period. Again, another data point when you're talking about results. The fact that they caught 4 on the FBI 10 most wanted fugitives, and 2 of them were number 1 and 2, I think that tells you everything you need to know about what the FBI is focused on. And as you guys can see here are the names and the dates that they were captured. All right, and now what I'm going to do, okay, and now let's show you what the president had to say about Chicago, which I think you'll find funny. Take a listen.
And the people of Chicago are walking around with MAGA hats. You have women, beautiful black women, walking around with MAGA hats. Please let the president in, and we don't care how he does it. They're not interested in National Guard or Army, Navy, bring them in, Marines, bring in the Marines. They just want the crime to stop. And more so because of the success that we had in D.C. I think if we didn't have that success, nobody would even believe it.
Okay, now this is a perfect segue into our next story regarding Mexican cartels putting bounties on the heads of ICE officials. They have indicted one gang member of Latin Kings. Let's hear more on that now.
Just in moments ago in a Fox News alert, a federal grand jury indicting the Latin Kings gang member accused of putting a bounty on the head of Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Our national correspondent Griff Jenkins here in Washington with the latest on this. Griff?
Yeah, John, that individual is a Mexican national named Juan Martinez. And just moments ago, I'm looking at the indictment. It alleges that Martinez knowingly used a facility of interstate commerce, namely an Apple Model 16 phone and Snapchat, with the intent that a murder be committed. John, this comes as a threat to ICE has never been higher. DHS says there's now a tiered bounty system set up by Mexican cartels. They are offering $2,000 for gathering intelligence or doxing immigration agents, $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping ICE or CBP officers, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of a high-ranking officer. Now, with Martinez, that alleged Latin King gang member, he was accused of putting this bounty on the Border Patrol's commander at large. That's Greg Bovino. His specific bounty was $2,000 on info and $10,000 if you, quote, take him down. The gang member's attorney is denying his client has any ties to the Latin Kings gang and paints him as a law-abiding family man. But Chief Bovino refutes that, adding the threat environment is increasing.
One of the things that disturbs me the most is the coverage from mainstream media regarding this story. You know, sometimes I don't want to just show you what Fox News is saying. I want to show you what all sides are saying, but sometimes I don't have a choice. You know why? Because they're the only network talking about this. And guess what? I have proof of that, which is why you guys see here on the screen, Ground News. They have this story up there. Ground News helps you see the full picture of what's being reported in the media and stories that only one side is talking about in this situation. It's a perfect example. Mexican cartels offering bounties for ICE CBP agents in Chicago. They give us the bottom line bullet points here up front, which I love. But more importantly is this metric right here. 69% of right-leaning sources are talking about these bounties. Only 19% are in the center, and only 12% lean left. Now, why is that? I think you guys know the answer to it. Now, let's hear more about these bounties in Chicago. Take a listen.
Things have changed a lot. Since those bounties were put out, we've had to take different measures to keep our agents safe, our ICE officers safe, and our allied law enforcement agents safe as they go into the field. And something else, Harris, that we're seeing is the lethality of the assaults against officers and agents. That lethality is increasing, and I think it's because of the bounties and that crazy rhetoric by the out-of-control governor and mayor. Lethality, like just yesterday, as you know, we had 2 illegal aliens from Venezuela tried to run over 2 Border Patrol agents. They were unsuccessful, and then decided it would be a good idea to ram the Border Patrol car before engaging in that high-speed pursuit. So that, along with weapons being taken to protests, the lethality is definitely increasing, and it's because of things like bounties and the crazy things that governor says.
You know, real quickly, and I'll move to the next. You mentioned officers in there, too. I'm going to think.
You bet. And they have been all along. That's an unspoken story. As we have these illegal alien gangs, the Latin Kings, MS-13 Sereños, that puts them in danger as well. That's an unspoken story here that needs to be told. And I'm glad you brought that to light, Harris. They've been in danger for a long time now. That's why we're here. That's why ICE, Border Patrol are here in Chicago to take care of that situation, to wrap those gangs up. That makes it safer for those local police.
That takes me to the bottom line of the way that I see all of this right now. Democrats' reaction does the opposite of what they say they wanted to do. They say they're trying to protect the people of Chicago. They want things to be safe. What they're doing is not making things safe. They are emboldening, encouraging, and allowing behavior like this, where we have Mexican cartels seeking to assassinate American citizens. It's outrageous. And it's just as outrageous as what we're seeing from the media. Isn't it interesting that only the right is talking about this story? This is why you have to do your research. This is why we show you both sides, so you can critically think for yourself. And when one side refuses to report on a story, I think that kind of tells you the bias. And I think that helps you come up with your own conclusions. And that's why we use Ground News. So if you want to use this tool for yourself, all you have to do is go to ground.news/Devori, or you can download the mobile app. Just use promo code DeVory, and it's going to give you access to everything that I showed you in this video, including 40% off the Vantage plan.
Is this shaping up to be a top issue for those presidential hopefuls on the Democrat side?
They think so. I think it is clear that both Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker see this as a political winner in their party. They are clearly using both court action and their rhetoric, stepping up in front of cameras as much as they can when it comes to these ICE engagements and talking about restricting what ICE is doing. I think they think that this is a political winner. I'm not sure it's playing out overall across the country that it is as much a winner as they think, but in a primary in the Democratic side, it may be.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're a Democrat and you want to be the president, I guess you've got to be the one that shows that you're the one who's standing up against this president. But when you take a look at what's going on in places like Chicago and in Portland, Oregon, you wonder if they're on the right side of this issue. Because in Southeast Chicago yesterday, ICE had to deploy tear gas after it was inundated by a bunch of protesters who started throwing things at them. But this was J.B. Pritzker's response. Greg Bovino, Kristi Noem, and DHS need to answer for their unchecked attacks on Chicago residents. ICE is an out-of-control danger to our peaceful communities. But again, they were responding to things being thrown at them, which is a serious federal offense.
Just another example why Democrats cannot be back in power. We cannot allow them to maintain control of the federal government, because if we do, crime will soar. If they're allowing crime like this to take place when Republicans are in charge, imagine what would happen if they were in charge. It'd be all hell breaking loose. And that's what happened on the border. And this is why it's very important to stand up for the truth. You're going to have friends and family and acquaintances and people you work with freaking out about these clips they see from ICE, thinking that ICE is crossing the line and everything that they're doing is wrong. That is so far from the truth. Are you going to be able to find some ICE officers that will make a mistake here or there? Absolutely. Nobody's perfect. But overall, the concept what the Trump administration is doing is the right thing. Too many people cross the border and they need to be removed. That's the bottom line to it. But unfortunately, Democrats don't see it that way, even when I show you clips like these. Take a look.
Herman, get back! Alma. Where is she at? I don't know.
Too sure what was thrown into the crowd there where you saw protesters, but they threw it right back at ICE officers. This is what we have: an uprising, a resistance against federal law enforcement. And the local police, their hands are tied because politics is taking control over them doing their job. That's where we're at as a country. It's really sad to see. You don't see this in a Republican city because they do the smart thing. Hey, we just arrested a criminal illegal alien. Here you go. Come get him. But Democrats say, no. We want to hold on to them. They are a part of our community. We want to protect them. We want to be there for them. In fact, we want to declare local emergencies and freeze people's rents and not have them worrying about making rent because someone was deported for committing a crime. That's how Democrats think. The bottom line is they continue to put illegal aliens over American citizens. But according to them, they believe this is the way the American people see it. Take a listen to what happened on MSDNC.
Well, we've been seeing the large-scale, widespread attempt at creating the largest mass deportation program in American history, just like President Trump promised he would in the summer of 2024 on the floor of the Republican convention when they held up the signs of mass deportation now. And if anybody had any questions about what mass deportation looked like, whether or not it was truly family separation by another name, whether or not it would be indiscriminate or go after only the worst of the worst, all of those questions, I think, have been answered for anyone that's paying even remotely any attention to this whatsoever. People with no criminal records other than being unauthorized in the country have been swept up in cities across the country. Americans have been swept up. Confrontations like the one you saw in New York in the hallway of 26 Federal Plaza play out on a regular basis, just like I saw when I was there. And that woman screamed saying she was American. It's not possible to create the largest mass deportation program in American history without going after people that don't have criminal records. And that is what the Trump administration is now doing every single day. And that is what we are finding out as we go to the streets of Los Angeles or Chicago, where I was for the better part of last.
Now ask yourself, why are ICE at this point picking up anybody they could possibly pick up who they believe is here illegally? Ask yourself, why are they doing that? And why are they doing it in a city like Chicago or in a city like, let's say, Portland or in these blue cities? Just ask the question why and truly think about that. They're not doing it in Miami, Florida. They're not doing it in Dallas, Texas. Why? It's because those cities hand over the illegal aliens to ICE. Those cities have ICE busy with picking up criminals. Democrats don't want to hand over anybody. So ICE has to go into the neighborhood, locate these people. In the process of doing so, they pick up people on the way. That's why it's just common sense for Democrats to work with ICE so that they can have some level of influence and control over what's happening. But they don't see it that way. They think they're going to be able to force this to stop. They think the solution is to fight, but it's only going to make things worse. And speaking of making things worse, we now move to our next story, which is about the government shutdown. Democrats have pretty much tripled down on their position. There was another vote that took place today. It failed, and they're still riding with the same excuses. Take a listen.
The Republicans say they'll negotiate, but they'll negotiate after you fund the government. That has been, I mean, these positions have been known for not just 15 days now, but for weeks and months. The question then becomes more and more relevant is this. At what point do you believe you need to change strategy to get out of this? Do you see a point at all?
Well, this is the right strategy.
Okay, you heard him. Democrats want this government shutdown to continue, and I'll explain to you why. And some of you guys already know this. Democrats want the American people to feel pain, and they're hoping that they are going to direct the pain, the frustration, their anger towards the president. That is a bet they're willing to make. So what does that mean in the end? Well, the bottom line is Democrats are weaponizing this government shutdown for political gain. That's exactly what is happening. Now, let's go to Speaker Johnson because he made an announcement about military soldiers and their pay today because they did get paid because the president diverted funds. And of course, they already tried to take him to court to stop him from doing that. But here's what the speaker had to say about all of it. Take a listen.
Everyone needs to understand that 1.3 million active duty service members would be missing a paycheck. They'll get their check, thankfully, because President Trump has shown strong leadership. And under his direction, the Department of War has now redirected unspent funds to ensure that our troops are taken care of. And this is while Democrats are playing political games. Last night, they played some games. They stormed my office. Maybe you saw some of the video online that they themselves shared, or someone did. They berated a Capitol Police officer, screamed at him. He was just merely standing his post. Shows again their disdain for law enforcement, as we see all around the country, the Democrats and everyone in that party screaming, assaulting ICE officers. They did it right here in the Capitol last night. A few members of Congress went into the little foyer of my office and tore down a sign that I had up and just engaged in all sorts of political stunts and antics. They've been doing that every day now, and it shows their desperation. It also shows a very strong contrast between the party that is working for the people and trying to keep the government open and do the right thing, and the party that is engaging in all this nonsense.
So it seems to me that even when Democrats are attempting to weaponize this government shutdown, that they still find ways to lose. This is a win for the president, where he's continuing to demonstrate his love for the military to make sure that they did get paid today. And obviously he had to take money from somewhere else to make it happen. And so that's another problem for another day. But, you know, again, this is incompetence at the highest level from Congress. There's no question about it. And it originates on the Democrat side. And they're not changing their mind at this point. Okay. I think this is going to the No Kings protests. Maybe they're trying to use that as political leverage. I don't know. But here is CNN even questioning Democrat strategy. I guess when CNN is questioning what you're doing and whether or not it's going to work, I think you probably have lost the plot. Take a look.
Certainly, healthcare subsidies are important to voters, both Democrat and Republicans. But how much is this issue being used by Democrats to show the base that you're fighting back against President Trump?
This issue is about health care insurance, right? There is nothing amusing or partisan or political about saying we should not force 10 million Americans off their health insurance or put them in a position where they've got to stop paying their mortgage in order to pay their health insurance. There is nothing political about that.
Well, I agree there's nothing political about it, but Democrats have made it political because they're weaponizing that point in regards to the government shutdown. They don't want to have the government open to truly have this debate. If you guys care so much about healthcare, why not debate it like a member of Congress would when the government is open on the floor? No, they don't want to do that. I told you, they want the American people to feel pain. This is not about healthcare. They're just using that because they know it's a strong issue for them. Majority speaking here, if you look at polls, American people trust Democrats with healthcare more than they trust Republicans. And that's why they're using that as their main talking point. Now, the overall update to this government shutdown could be summed up by watching the next clip.
Things are getting so bad on the Hill that one lawmaker actually told his staff to go out and get those zero interest loans because he thinks that this is going to go on for 2 months. It's incredible what's happening here. The standoff between Democrats and Republicans. Members of the military are supposed to get paid today. The White House has directed the Pentagon to use already appropriated funds for research and development to do this instead. But some say we're really questioning if that is legal or not. And now Republicans are raising national security concerns. Listen.
We took $8 billion worth of RDT&E funds. That's research, development, testing, and evaluation. And certainly that has a trade-off for our national security.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune is going to try something different tomorrow. He wants to vote on a defense appropriations bill. If Democrats block it, Dana, it will only give Republicans more political ammo. Meanwhile, President Trump says Republicans will use the shutdown to close, quote, semi-communist programs that they oppose. And he says he's going to have a list for them by Friday.
Okay, so that's the bottom line to everything that's taken place. And where I'm going to wrap up with is this delusional take from Hakeem Jeffries himself. So this first clip is him, I guess, attempting to rhyme as he tries to, I guess, attack Republicans regarding this government shutdown. Take a listen to it for yourself.
House Republicans shut the government down. Then they ran out of town. And for the last 3 weeks, they're nowhere to be found. Donald Trump and Republicans in Congress have shut down the government 15 days ago. And they haven't done a damn thing since to try and reopen it. House Democrats are here, reporting for duty. We are ready, we are willing, and we are able to negotiate a bipartisan spending agreement that actually meets the needs of the American people.
Well, last time I checked, that's exactly what the CR is doing. It's continuing the existing spending levels. But again, they don't care about the facts. Now let's circle back to, I guess, this rhyme that he was trying to pull off. I don't know who writes his scripts. Of course, he's always scripted. You can't even ever get an authentic reaction from him. That's a whole nother conversation. But I think the bottom line overall to this government shutdown is the American people are going to get hurt in the process. And it's a careful reminder that you got to stop depending on the federal government financially. You got to find different ways. It may take some time, some changes. You got to move here, got to get a better job, got to make smart financial decisions. But I'm telling you, the people who depend on the government, they are always the first to get hurt. And I think that is a lesson in and of itself. So let's hear from you guys in the comments section below to these stories. First, let's start with Hakeem Jeffries. What did you think of his little punchline, his rhyme about the government shutdown? Also, what do you make of the Latin Kings gang member who has allegedly, he was the one behind placing the bounty on ICE officers? What do you make of his indictment? And then finally, what did you think of the announcement from the DOJ? Huge as far as the results are concerned about making America safe. Just give me all your thoughts and everything you got in the comment section below. Now this takes us to our next video, where Los Angeles County has declared a local declaration of emergency because of immigration raids. They are freezing rents and also allowing people not to pay their rent because of these raids. So if you guys missed out on that update and more from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.